Greetings, fellow thinkers and drinkers on this occasion. Mustn't ignore the drinkers. Anyone who saw my video on the Tony Martin box set will know that I finished it off by stating that I will be returning to Black Sabbath as a subject. I was unsure at the time what that subject would be, or the topic would be, but I said with some authority and some conviction that it would not be an album ranking, as I am not that convinced of the value of such things. Now, a scant 2 weeks later, having taken a stand on principle, I'm about to do something of a U-turn. Perhaps politics is the way forward, who knows. Very good, that. Excellent cognac. Okay, what has brought me to this? Well, quite simply, it's been argued to me, convincingly, that the YouTube algorithm likes such things. Okay. Now, anybody who starts a channel, just to fill in the background here, such as this, is obviously not in it for fame and fortune. We're in it for the love of it. We want to keep, the subject alive, to talk about it. To talk about it with like-minded fans of the band, or bands, or perhaps even those who have different opinions. There's nothing more boring than being in an echo chamber. But we're here fundamentally for that. However, nobody is totally immune from even the slightest form of or signs of flattery, or perhaps even success. Be it the first video of yours that gets 100 views, or your first like, or the first positive, even encouraging comment. It's nice. It's a good feeling. Your message is getting out there. Some thought and effort that does go into this. And we all like to feel we're being appreciated. Now, having said that, again, one accepts when nobody is expecting, this to turn into a money spinner, or at least I am not. It's actually not the reason for doing it. But if you want to get your message out there, you have to play the game. We're all slaves to something. Even a cursory knowledge of human history will inform you of that. We may no longer be compelled to row Roman galleys, but we're all a slave to something. In this case, the algorithm. If we want to expand or we want to grow, and the old saying is, if you're not moving forward, you're not standing still, you're moving backwards. And even if this is a hobby, and even if we're just doing it for the hell of it, there's got to be some feeling of accomplishment. Otherwise, what is the point? So having said that, I let myself be talked into doing some ranking videos. However, I maintain my position on ranking videos. If you're talking about a catalogue of, I don't know, say 20 records or something, there may be the ones you really love and the ones you utterly despise, or you think less of. But there's going to be an awful lot occupying the middle ground. What is the difference between place 4 and 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10 or 11? The phase of the moon, the quality of breakfast on any given day. It lacks context in my mind, and it's a rather pointless, or can be a rather pointless exchange of information, or delivery of information. Sitting down for a meal at a top fish restaurant and your interlocutor or dinner guest suddenly starts explaining to you how they like their steak. I said, well, yes, thank you for this. It's good to know, but, this is not getting the conversation anywhere. So I've been giving some thought to this. And I'm going to do 3 ranking videos. There's no point just doing one. And this is going to be, for me, a little test, academic curiosity, if you like, to see what, if any, effect it does actually have. I'll know better afterwards, but you can't just do one. So I'm going to do one each for each of my 3 favorite bands, which, again, if you've been paying attention, are Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, and Rush. Since I started this channel talking about Black Sabbath, they're going to remain my guinea pig of choice. What honors I do bestow. And in each case, I'm going to do take a slightly different approach. I have the approach, no spoilers, no spoilers. I have the approach for the Black Sabbath rankings, but the idea behind it is, without giving too much away, is to give it context, give it something that's relatable, not just an arbitrary list, which could be based on anything. To try and give it some background, why I rank them this way, and how I see them in the scope of the catalog as a whole. None of these rankings, obviously, are comparing the Black Sabbath in this instance records to albums and records and releases of other bands. It's an insular ranking within the catalog or the canon of that particular band. Now, should anybody share my opinion on ranking videos and feel they have anything to contribute as to how I could possibly do this in a way that would give more relevance, more context to it, feel free to drop a comment. As I said, I think for the first effort, I have worked a plan out, but I would like to do a couple of different approaches just to see which, if any, does take off or which resonates better or not, as the case may be. It's a sad but true fact that one learns considerably more from one's failures than one does from one's successes. Well, most of us should be far more intelligent than we are then, shouldn't we? Having said that, no promises when it'll be out. It should be out next week. Slightly more complicated than I was intending it to be. I thought it was actually quite easy after I decided how I was going to do it, but I'm arguing and debating with myself about the positioning of certain albums. Very frustrating when you can't win an argument with yourself, isn't it? Alright, anyway, that's that. This is just a little note to say what is coming. I'm sure everybody's dying to know that. And a little bit of a request that if anybody, as I said, does share my opinion on this and has any constructive thoughts as to how this may be done better, for want of a better expression, how this may be given more relevance, more context. I think context is always important. Feel free to drop a line. But until then, I will be continuing putting out, I have another couple of videos coming out, or at least one video coming out before then. But no, look for the Black Sabbath ranking, the Deep Purple ranking, and the Rush ranking in good time. Hopefully the Sabbath one will be out next week. Okay, I thank you for your indulgence. I wish you well, and machonker.